Hey, it's me, your boy Blue Getsuga, and after a century's worth wait, Yu-Gi-Oh! Tier Analysis is back, and it's a bit different than before. Anyways, let's get right into this. First, we have Fire Fist. Fire Fist is a Fire Beast Warrior archetype that I recently talked about on the channel before, and if any of you guys remember that video, I overhyped this deck a lot. And I said it was going to be the next DDDs, and I was wrong. Anyways, let's get right into this. First off, this deck has good boss monsters. Their boss monsters are pretty nice, and they have versatile effects. This deck also has great spells and traps. This deck is also pretty, like I mentioned, versatile, and is fairly consistent because of cards like Tenki and your ways to get to Tenki, as well as cards like Dragon, which allows you to consistently set your fire formations from your deck. And this deck can swarm fairly well. The problems with this deck is it lacks defensive cards because there aren't that many cards that protect your Fire Fist monsters aside from one, and it's pretty lackluster. Also, this deck needs to have a mix of Fire Fists and Fire Formations just to function. Sometimes you open hands with just Fire Fist monsters and no Fire Fist formations, and sometimes you open with Fire formations instead of any Fire Fist monsters. That, and if you aren't able to successfully activate a Fire Formation card while you have a Fire Fist on the field, you practically lose, essentially. Which is also the reason why I say it can't play through multiple negates. Granted, that's most decks that aren't tier 2 or higher. But that problem is very prevalent in Fire Fists. If there was a consistent way to actually get your Fire Formation and Fire Fists without it flopping, I would say that this deck can actually move up half a tier or an entire tier. But anyways, all that aside, this deck is still a pretty decent deck that you can also bring to your locals and have fun with. As far as power goes, I gave it a 3 out of 5. For defense, I gave it a 1.5 out of 5, being a little bit generous. I would say 1 out of 5, but I guess sometimes this deck makes it a little bit difficult for your opponent to OTK you. As far as recovery, I give it a 2.5 because you need your Fire Formation and Fire Fist monsters just to make the deck function. Cards like Tenki and even cards like Bear or Dragon can easily get you back into the game, assuming your opponent has nothing to stop you from there. And then for versatility, I give it a 4 out of 5 since the extra deck monsters as well as the main deck monsters allow you to do many things. Plus, because Fire Fist have so many monsters, you have many different strategies you can go with. And for consistency, I give this a 2.5 out of 5 or 3.5 out of 5. I'll give it a 3 out of 5 as far as consistency goes. And this is why I think this deck is a tier 3 deck. Next, we have Evilswarms. Evilswarms, they're a pretty fun archetype, and I remember this card used to be in and out of the meta all the time years ago. Anyways, let's get right into this. For the pros, Master Rule 5, because now you can actually spam multiple Ophions if you want. Kinda. You'll see why I say kinda later. Second, it has good boss monsters, and it has good spells and traps. Plus, this deck can easily work with floodgates, so that's also really fun. And this deck is fairly versatile. The problem is links exist, so you can't really stun your opponent with Ophion. And yeah, I would say it lacks search power, especially outside of Ophion. Because Ophion, if you didn't know, searches your spells and traps. So not only is it a good floodgate against decks that like to special summon high-level monsters, but you can also search cards. You can search your Evilswarm cards, and the one that you usually search is Infestation, to prevent your opponent from affecting your Evilswarms or Steel Swarm monsters with card effects. I mean spell and trap effects, my bad. This deck is generally bad going second, and it usually can't play through more than one negate. I guess another issue with this deck is it doesn't have that many good main deck monsters. Because sometimes you only have enough monsters to summon one Ophion, and yeah, this deck doesn't really have that much spamming potential. Anyways, for power, I'd give this deck a 3 out of 5. For defense, a 2 out of 5. For recovery, a 2 out of 5. For versatility, a 4 out of 5. And for consistency, a 2.5 out of 5. Anyways, that's all I'm going to go over today. It's been me, your boy Blue Getsuga, and I'm out.